Hi guys, I am Victoria for those of you who don't know me, and welcome to my first YouTube video. I am doing this YouTube video for my social media marketing course and basically just doing a quick review on Mitch Joel's Control-Alt-Delete. So screenshot this little book right here because you are going to want to go and buy it. It couldn't have come at a better time in my life for me to read it. I'm so happy. I actually switched books halfway through on deciding what I was going to read, and I'm so thankful I did because this book is incredible. I am wildly in love with it, a little bit obsessed with Mitch Joel at this point after reading this and watching far too many of his either YouTube videos, talks he's done, interviews he's done, podcasts. So he is an incredible guy. He writes spectacularly. Couldn't put the book down. I loved it from start to finish, and it's definitely going to be something that I keep for a long, long time and reference for my business and my life and where I'm headed in the next 5 years. So in how it's written, I want to say kind of this negative motivation happening. The only reason I say negative is because it's almost a shock to read some of the things that he's writing about. In the first page, he opens his book with basically telling you that the next time you go to a conference, when you sit down, look to your left and look to your right, and one of you won't be there in the next 5 years. That's mildly terrifying for most people. I relate to Mitch really, really in weird ways. Basically, one of the things he'll say is that things that excite him terrify most people. And I find that I'm a lot like that. I would rather be on a stage public speaking in front of thousands of people. I'm more comfortable there than doing anything really, and that's the public's #1 fear. So when you read the subtitle of his book saying, reboot your business, reboot your life, your future depends on it, it's a little shocking, but that excited me. I can imagine some people would look at that book and say, I don't even want to know, I don't want to read it, but I'm really glad that I did. And this motivation he has, I mean, Mitch has shared the stage with incredible people, Bill Clinton, Tony Robbins. I mean, the Tony Robbins one for me is really where I can see that I feel like Mitch is more invested in helping you than telling you where to go. You can tell through his writing he's like that. You can tell when you watch his talks that he's like that. He's incredibly intelligent and very knowledgeable about digital marketing and where business is headed right now. And you can really see that through how he writes. So there's a couple of things that I want to touch on that really I could relate to and that I found made this book report and this assignment much more useful to me than I could have imagined it could have been. So one of the things that he touches on are direct relationships and building those direct relationships with your consumers as a brand. I'm a community manager for a lot of my clients, and building those relationships is something that feels like second nature to me. And when you read the book, they're not revolutionary ideas. He's not changing the game so much that you can't imagine what he's talking about. It's not unfathomable. I mean, these things that he talks about for building these direct relationships are things that you do every day, things that you do with your spouse, with your friends, with your coworkers, things like being open with your consumers, being clear, being consistent, nurturing them, giving value to the relationship that you have. These are things that he touches on through this book in building these relationships that can really change how you do business and how to represent a brand by building relationships with those people. Those direct relationships that he talks about, he mentions that consumers rely on a brand, on a business to be there for them. That's where it is right now. That's what people expect. And it's funny because even yesterday I was on Facebook and I saw business advertising a promotion they had, and instead of looking into it further from that promotion or going ahead and booking it just then, I sent a Facebook message directly to the company and said, is this still going on? Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I fully expect them to get back to me like that. I fully expect anytime I tweet a company to tweet me back or send me a direct message or make some kind of conversation, build some kind of direct relationship with me. And it's it's something that is incredibly important, and to focus on, if you don't do that with your business, I mean, where he says it's going to take you is scary, honestly. That's something that people really need to get a hold of. And I love that he laid it out in such a clear and concise, simple way for people to understand. Another thing that I really picked up on was when he was talking about finding your blend. And finding your blend to him is, he compared it to, he has 3 different areas of his life and compared it to a stool. So each of those legs of that stool need to be the same length or balance so that your stool stays standing up. I found that I really picked up on that in relation to myself, because I feel that I've started to get completely obsessed with what I'm doing in my business. And having started a business, having that entrepreneurial mindset, you need to devote 24/7 to it. You don't watch the clock. You're not on someone else's time. It's your business and your responsibility. So I think that after reading that, I really sat down with the book and wrote out a set of goals of where I want my balance to come from, and 3 or 4 areas of my life that I need to keep in check. And over the past couple weeks since reading that part of the book, have really implemented into what I'm doing, and I just feel better. Having that balance in your life is an important thing to reboot yourself going forwards. So I think that was good for me to have that, to write down those goals, and it's really something that I think everybody should do. One of the things I love that he said was be indispensable. I used to work for someone who is still a very close mentor of mine, but he always said that no one is indispensable. You can replace anybody, that anybody can learn someone's job. And I didn't want to be that person. And he instilled this in me 10 plus years ago. And I really didn't want to be that person that could just be replaced. I wanted to feel that I was indispensable. And Mitch talks about this in his book, and saying that the people who want to be indispensable will be. So to build your skill set, to build what you are good at, and find all of those tools, better yourself, going to school, taking courses, reading more books like this, make you that person that's indispensable. Because in the next 5 years, if you aren't doing that, then what are you doing? Along with that, he talks about that how the career world is now compared to 10, 20, 30 years ago has completely changed. The mindset was that you went to school, you found the best career you could get into, and you sat tight for 40, 50 years, and whatever you were doing, got your gold watch, and that was it. And I think that a lot of employers today still think that that's how it should be. And people who are closer to my age completely disagree and are coming into different careers. Some friends of mine into their 4th, 5th, 6th career choice throughout their lives so far. And that takes me into embracing your squiggle, or what he talks about a lot as your squiggle. The highs and lows and the things you go through to experience where you're going to end up is not a 45-degree line of how your life is. And that's how the career world has been looked at. And that's completely changing. So you're going to have people coming into your business, or you're going to be that person going into a business who has had 4 or 5 careers, maybe more than that. Maybe you haven't found what fits for you. And it makes so much sense to me. He tells a story basically saying that when you're a child, you don't wake up and you're in kindergarten and say, you know what, I have always really just wanted to be in marketing. In grade 2, I really just couldn't wait to draw fake logos for fake companies. I mean, it's not something you grow up wanting to do. You don't know when you're that young. And I bet if most of us think back about it, I did when he wrote that, is what did I want to be? A ballet dancer, or things that clearly didn't happen throughout my life. But when I looked at my squiggle throughout my life and seeing where it took me to all these highs and all these lows, and really embracing it and being okay with it is his point. So to be okay with the fact that you're not going to have that gold watch at the end of 30 years, to be okay with the fact that one day you have your biggest client one weekend, and 3 days later you're sitting on the floor crying, trying to figure out why you did this in the first place. But just being okay with it and understanding that that's where that's where business is headed right now. That's where the world's headed, is creating these jobs for yourself, about finding your talents, finding things that excite you. I've always wanted to wake up every day and do something that made me happy and made me excited to get out of bed. And I'm finally creating that moment for me. And not all of us have that luxury. Not all of us feel that we can just leave our job and go into something else. But to find that job, find that career that makes us feel like that, is really what I picked up on the embracing your squiggle. So I don't know, there's a ton of things that I would love to talk about. This is already going on probably a little bit too long. I definitely recommend you go and get the book, watch some of Mitch's videos. He's incredible. I'm completely inspired, completely excited. I feel like I have a fire lit under me all over again. So yeah, guys, go and get it. Good book, good book. Thanks for listening to me rant. Bye.